Hello, this is Gary Simon of DesignCourse.com. I have to talk really fast because my two toddlers are in the room and they're going to yell out any second. But anyhow, it's late. I just need to get this done. My wife couldn't watch because she's getting in the shower. So yeah, today we're going to be doing a Blender text tutorial. It's just going to be an interesting type of an effect that could be useful maybe to learn a new skill. All right, so if you need access to the project files, they're available for free in the description below this video. And if you haven't yet, subscribe here on YouTube. All right, let's get started. Alright, so I'm using the new Blender 2.7, though I'm not going to be doing anything that's specific to it, so if you have a previous version, you should be able to follow along fine. So if you never used Blender, to select elements or objects, all you have to do is right-click on them, and to delete, you just hit the delete key and enter. To move around in the viewport, you can basically move this way by holding the third mouse button. You can zoom up with the scroll wheel. You can pan using shift and that third mouse button. So that's all I'm going to go over in terms of basics. So that's just basically what you need to know before you can begin. This is essentially a beginner tutorial. So what you want to do is delete this cube. So with it outlined and selected, just hit the delete key and select delete. And we're also going to get rid of the camera. We're not going to need that. So I'm going to delete that as well. I'm going to add a text object. So Shift A, or just go to add down here, Shift A and text. All right, so now we have our text right there by default. So if you want to edit the actual text, all you have to do is hit tab, and that puts you into edit mode, and you can switch between edit and object mode. So now we're in edit mode. All you have to do is hit the backspace key, and you can enter in any text that you want. So I'm just going to use one letter just for this tutorial to make it a little bit simpler and make it go quicker. So with, I'm just going to use the letter D. You can use multiple letters if you want. It's going to take a little bit longer for you to do the manual parts. So we're going to switch back to object mode, hitting tab. All right, and then we have to rotate this upward. So R is for rotate, and then we can enter 90. No. RX 90, sorry about that. You have to hit the X key, and that allows you to constrain it on the X axis. All right, so that just puts it up by 90 degrees. And now what we want to do is come over here, and right here is the text panel, and it gives us certain options that we can really just play around and make it actually 3D. So basically, I played with this tutorial beforehand, and what I'm going to use is, I mean, you don't necessarily have to use it, but this is what I found that worked okay. 0.04 for the offset, and that just kind of makes it thicker. Then the depth, we're going to change to 0.05, and then the extrude, we're going to make it 0.1. All right, so we have a nice thick letter right there. All right, so once we've done that, now we want to basically hit the Alt-C and then make a mesh from curve made a surf text. And so what that will do right now, if we go into edit mode, we're able to edit the text still. But if we actually want to work with deforming some of the geometry, we have to hit that Alt-C and select this. So now what happens is that text panel goes away, and if we go to edit, now we can see all the different vertices. All right, so I'm going to hit 5 on the number pad, and that gets us from perspective to ortho mode. And I'm also going to hit 1. All right, so that gets us in the front view. And so now what I want to do is switch over to face mode, face select mode. So you have 3 different modes. You have your vertices where you can select by right-clicking the individual vertices. You have the edge mode right here. You can select edges, and then you have faces. All right, so what we want to do is select all of the faces that make up this portion right here. So if you use a different letter, same thing applies. So what you want to do to make it easy to select, you're going to hit B, and you're going to keep your selection within this area. So what we'll do is go down, and you just keep on hitting B, and it won't deselect, whatever you currently did. Oops. And then if you accidentally select one, just hold shift and right click it and that will deselect it. B, and there's going to be a couple that I probably did not select correctly. Like if we zoom up here real close, we could see that there's a couple in here that didn't get selected. So if I hit B, now it's selected those. If I come down here, there's one as well. Just hold shift and right click and that will individually select that. All right, so that looks pretty good. I think I selected everything. And if you want to be able to check if you did select them all, just come off to the side and drag that to see if you selected everything or not. So it looks like I got everything. So what I want to do now is basically we want to extrude it. So hit the letter E and then enter. All right, so now we basically duplicated that selection. So what we want to do now is we want to move it on the y-axis back a little bit. So to do that, we'll hit the G key. That means move. We're going to hit Y, and then I'm going to move it back by entering in a value 0.5. Actually, no, that was wrong. GY 0.1. All right, and I thought this would get inset, and it didn't for some reason. So all I'm gonna do real quickly is hit A to deselect and make sure everything's selected, and then hit A again to make sure nothing's selected, and hit B real quick again, and just select real quickly all of these front faces so that we can just delete the faces manually. Yeah, it didn't do that last time, but, you know, stuff like that unfortunately happens. So now if I just, with all of them selected, delete and delete faces, now we see that portion right there. All right, and then real quickly, unfortunately, I have to select all these stupid things again. Oops. With all these selected, what we're going to do is separate it as a new object. All right, and let me just come over here real quick. These ones don't want to select. Hold shift and right click those two. All right, so with all of them selected and nothing else, hit the P key and make that hit the selection, the first option when you hit P. And so now if you hit tab and then right click it, we can now go back into edit mode and we'll see that it's basically its own layer, so or its own object now. So with it selected, and this is your layers area up here, that's Texas 001, we want to duplicate that object. So shift D and then just you can hit enter, and then we want to move that back by GY 0.1. All right, so that moved that back further in there, and we can see if we go to wireframe. So we have this one right here and then this one back here, and that's what we want. So now what we want to do is let's select that first one, which is not that one. All right, there it is. We want to select that one. We're going to, and we're in ortho mode, so hit the 1 to go to the front, and now we're going to just left click and drag this out to create another panel over here. We're going to go to the UV image editor. We're going to click right on new, and we're going to make the width and height 2048 pixels, and just hit enter, and we'll zoom out here a bit. Wait, why is that not normal? Let me do a new one. Oh, that one did not get changed. All right, there we go. All right, so now we have a perfect square. And what we want to do is we'll go to, solid mode. Hit A Oops, we're not in object mode. Sorry about that. We want to select that text 001 by right-clicking it, and then hit the tab key, hit A to select everything, and then hit U to unwrap. Oops, I forgot about that. Hit U to go to project from view. All right, so now we can scale this up a little bit. Hit S over here, just roughly around this size. And now what we want to do is, this is where we're going to go to Photoshop. And so we're going to go to File, New. We're going to create a new one by 2048. 2048. And we're going to make it black for the background. And we're going to use a custom pattern. Not a custom pattern, but one that you're going to download if you want to follow along with this. And it's like a honeycomb pattern. And so I will link to that in the description here in YouTube to where you can download that. And so basically right here, once you've loaded that in, it's this one. And the scale, we're going to make it up just slightly. Let's see if that looks okay at 100%. Okay, so 100%, let me zoom out here quite a bit to get it, well, it's going to fit on screen. And now what I want to do is right click on this, and we're going to rasterize the layer. All right, and that's basically all we want to do. So now what we want to do is save this. So we're going to go to File, Save for Web, although it's not really the web. I just make mine JPEG at 92% quality. You can use 100%, doesn't really matter. And let's call this Honeycomb. And then we'll go back here to Blender. And now we want to do is set up some other things. We want to switch from Blender Render to Cycles Render. And I'm going to come over here and I'm going to change a couple things. Yeah, I have to go to my user preferences. I didn't have to do this before twice because I already did it once after downloading the new version. But if I come over here to System, I'm going to change my, well, that's oh yeah, you have to click on CUDA, and I have two GeForce GTX 580 cards. All right, so now over here I can specify GPU compute, and rendering and all that stuff will go a lot faster. For sampling, I'm going to change this to 100. Actually, the actual render, I'm going to change that to 1,000. And then for performance, I'm going to change this X and Y, these tiles, to 256. And you could do that if you have a GPU. All right, so with that basically all set up, I also want to go to the World tab and make everything white. All right, and now what I want to do is switch this over to the actual, node editor. And what we want to do now is, with this portion selected, this is what's going to basically be metal. So let's switch over here. We're going to click New, and here is our node editor. If I switch this over to rendered, we can see what everything basically looks like. So if I hit 5, yeah, this is perspective mode right here. Man, my voice is going. It's like the end of the day. It's like 10 p.m. Anyhow, so what we want to do is basically change this over here to this anisotropic, and it's so, I should really learn how to say that. Anyhow, but yeah, these default settings I'm going to leave, but I'm also going to switch back over here to solid, and I want to make shading smooth. What that does, if we go back to rendered, it makes it render a little bit better, and there's not those jagged areas. All right, so now what we want to do is take this one. This is text 001. You could still select objects in rendered mode. It just doesn't show you selecting it, but we know it's selected right here. So you right click on that, make sure it's selected. Now what we want to do is set up a little bit more of an elaborate node system. So I'm going to click New just to get some on there initially. And you know what, to make our life a little bit easier, I'm going to right click and join this area, this over here, and instead of dragging it left, I'm going to drag it down. All right, so now I can make this the node view, and this over here the rendered. All right, so now I have more space to put these things, or situate them basically. All right, so I'm going to Control left click to get rid of that connection. I'm going to hit Shift A to add a mix shader. And what the hell's going on with my mouse? It's all messed up. Whoa. All right, there it goes. So basically, we want to add a mix shader, and I don't know if that actually got added, so I'm going to add it again. There it goes. All right, and then connect it here to the surface portion. Connect this one up to the top. Go ahead and add another one, a shader. This one's going to be transparent. Add this on the second portion, and then go ahead and also add the image texture. Shift A. And then this is where we're going to open up that image. And that is right here. Just double click on it and then connect that to the color portion right there. All right, so as we can see, I have a really cool effect already showing up here. We can see it's a little bit transparent. It says 50-50, and we're gonna leave it, just basically right around there. And now what we wanna do is select the 002 portion. We're gonna hit New, and we're going to hit Control, hold Control or Command, and left click and just cut that connection. Shift A, we're going to add a mix shader. So mix shader is right there. And I'm gonna add that right here and connect these up real quick. And my kids are being loud downstairs, of course. And then also, so this one, we're gonna make it like a blue. And then hit Shift A, add another shader, and this is going to be an emission shader, which is right here. Connect that over there. And the strength is going to be, I think I had like around 6.7. And then make this emission color right around here. And then, of course, connect that. I think that strength is a little bit too much, so I'm just left clicking and dragging it down just a little bit. All right, so now one final thing that we can do is go ahead and switch to solid mode real quick. Make sure text 001 is selected, and that's our front honeycomb portion. And hit Shift D and then hit Enter, and then just drag it on the Y-axis on the front a little bit. All right, and as you can see, it still has the same material. So if we come over here and we click on this button right here, we'll give it a new material so that we can make changes to this specifically. And all I'm going to do real quick is switch to rendered. Is take this FAC value and push it up a little bit more so that this doesn't stand out so much. All right, so now I'm going to right click on this middle section and just hit join area down. And then finally, we'll go back real quick, and our last step will be to Shift A to add a plane, hit S and just drag your mouse up quite a bit. We'll give that material, we'll make it 100% white, switch back to rendered, hit G and then a Z, and move your mouse down so that these are sitting just right on it, the letters in this interesting design basically. All right, so yeah, that's just a quick tutorial on just, showing you how you can separate objects, parts of objects, and apply very interesting node materials and shaders to create some interesting effects. All right, so if you wanted to render and save this out, you would just go over here to the render area. And remember, the higher samples, the more samples you have, the better it will look. And also, this is where you can control your resolution. I'm going to set mine to 1280 by 720. And also, this little percentage area, if you just take that up to 100%, it will be 100% of this value up here. And then, yeah, basically be ready to render right here. And then you can hit F3, I believe, to save that as an image. All right, so that is it. I'm Gary Simon of DesignCourse.com. And if you haven't yet, subscribe here on YouTube. All right, goodbye.